Hey everybody, this is going to be sort of a different type of video. Usually I do sort of geeky stuff, animations and stuff for my podcast. You can check that over on my other channel, Little Geek Lost. If you just search that all one word, you'll find it. There's clips and animations and that sort of thing on there. This time it's going to be a bit different, and that's why it's on this channel. It's more of a personal vlog that I wanted to do, something that I've been going through, still going through while it's fresh in my mind. I thought it'd be helpful to others. Recently, about a month and 3 days ago, as of this recording, I had breast reduction surgery. Yay! Smaller boobs. Technically, it was a boob job, I guess, because it was still surgery. So how this sort of came about is, it actually happened like really quick. A few months ago, I was on holidays and was sort of complaining because I was like, I'm going to spend the whole week going braless, just for something relaxing and comfortable, because ladies out there, it's uncomfortable when you have to wear a bra all the time, especially when you have larger breasts. And I started complaining in my back and my neck and everything, and just wanting to be more active, and how it's really hard to find sports bra when you are larger chested. And so my husband actually mentioned, he's like, why don't you get breast reduction? And I was like, oh, there's an idea that I never really thought of getting. I didn't really consider myself that big that would actually need it. So the size that I was 40D. 40D. It doesn't sound that big, but it really is kind of big. And I'm tall. I'm 6 feet tall. So, it was a bit proportional, but still kind of annoying. And I've always been larger chested. And it makes things difficult trying to be more active. It's really hard to jog, especially. I bought a sports bra, and I had to actually wear like 2 of them, and it's still really uncomfortable and really sore trying to jog. We recently got a heavy bag put in the basement because I was getting into boxing before my surgery, and again, it's really hard to do things physically active. So I talked to another girl locally who I knew had one, and found out the doctor that she got it done from, and some of the ins and outs, and spent a lot of time reading up on it. And we were actually in between family doctors at that point, so I didn't have anyone to go to for a referral. So I just sent an email to the doctor's office, and he said, go to your family doctor, get a referral. I said, I don't have one. Should I go to a walk-in to get a referral? Like, what am I supposed to do? And he said, well, since you don't have one, we'll just get you to come in for a consult anyways. So they booked me in, and it was March 4th, I believe. I went in for the consult, and he came in and looked, said, yep, no problem. OHIP, which is the Ontario Health Insurance Program, they'll cover it. So as provincial health insurance here in Canada will cover it. I guess if you're a certain size, they just kind of do it, whatever. It was automatic. So he's like, I'll fill out the paperwork. You'll let me know or I'll give you a call back in 4 weeks and you'll find out. So that was super fast, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm wondering if I'm going to get approved, and spent like the 4 weeks sort of going over everything that I could find online, other people's experiences, the whole process of it, everything that kind of happens along the way, the surgery itself, like just absorbing a ton of information. And then the end of March came around, and I called and I was like, hey, just wondering if it's been approved. I haven't heard anything. And they're like, yep. We actually have a cancellation, so we could either book you in a week, or we'll book you in for May 2nd. And it was a Friday afternoon, and it was like super quick for me to decide whether I wanted to do a week from then. So I said, I'll take the May 2nd one and kind of get back to you, because that was really quick turnaround time. Took the weekend, thought about it, talked it over with my husband, and said, well, maybe we'll do the one in a week kind of deal, because it is sooner and kind of to get it over with. Because if I was going to have to wait like over a month, or almost, it would have been over a month, I'd be going crazy. I'd be obsessing about it every day and just sort of being real crazy thinking about it. So I called back on the Monday, asked if the appointment was still open. They said no, it was taken. But on that Thursday, I could call back and find out about another cancellation. So I had to wait a few days. I gave my boss and everything at work a heads up, that I may be getting the surgery at the most in a month, at the soonest, possibly in a week. Talked to HR about going on short-term disability to cover being off work for a couple weeks. The standard is really 2 weeks to be off, but I'll get sort of into the healing process later. So then I called back on that Thursday, and they said they actually had one booked in a week. So it was a Thursday from that date. So it was literally 7 days that I'd be getting major surgery. So I told my boss, got everything booked, and went for all my pre-op stuff. It's funny saying pre-op. So the physical, the consult, and all that sort of stuff. I let the doctor know I didn't want to be too small. I still wanted to be in proportion to my body, but more comfortable within my own skin, basically. Just got everything done, and sort of just started to stress about it. I mean, that's what you do, right? It's a major surgery. It is outpatient, so you do go home the same day, but it still is major surgery. It's a minimum of 2 hours. I think it's up to 3 or 5. Usually if you're a lot larger, it's going to be a lot longer. So I went in surgery. I had to be there at 6:15 in the morning. Surgery was at 7:45. So we get there, get all the prep and everything in, and they come by and, put your IV in and do sort of all their little pre-op checks and check your blood pressure and all that. And while they're doing that, my husband hears that someone else had come in and they had actually eaten breakfast before their surgery. So, they tell you the night before, the day before you go for surgery, you can't eat anything after midnight. You can have a little sip of water if you need to take pills, or if you sort of get up during the night and have a cough and just automatically take some water, that's fine. But no eating. So this guy consciously got up, made 2 bagels for breakfast. Not 1, 2 bagels, ate them, and then came to surgery. So they were super pissed. They pushed his surgery back till 6 o'clock that night, so it'd be a full 12 hours, I guess, basically. They had to rearrange all the schedules. The surgeon, had to come back, and they weren't very happy about that. So that was my one tale that I like telling people about it, because that was pretty funny. So I had my surgery. It went okay from my perspective. I mean, I woke up, so that was the biggest thing I was worried about. Being put under, I've had 2 surgeries on my nose and one of my wisdom teeth, and I still think the scariest part is not the pain, it's not any of that, it's being put under when they give you the anesthetic, because you don't know if you're going to wake up. So I hate that part more than anything. So I went under, woke up in recovery. I remember being in a lot of pain on one side, and telling them, they're okay, whatever, telling them my pain level. Closing my eyes, it felt like it was 5 minutes later, but it was really about an hour later, and okay, we'll bring you back to day surgery. So they bring you back to day surgery, where you sort of sit to finish your recovery. They kind of check on you, make sure your vitals are fine, give you something to eat and drink because you haven't had anything, and before they let you go home. So we did all that, and it turns out that my surgery was actually, I think it was 3 hours or something, my husband said, and then I was in recovery for another hour, and he was sort of getting a little bit worried because I'd been under so long and he hadn't heard from me. So they bring me back, asked me again what my pain level was. I said it was, an 8 or 9. I was in a lot of pain on the one side mainly. So they came by, gave me more morphine, gave me T3s, Tylenol 3s actually, to take there in the hospital. And that finally took the edge off. I think one of the worst parts, aside from the pain, was the throat tube that they put down, because it's a really big one. Really tore my throat up. They usually say you'll get a sore throat, or it may hit your teeth and chip them, or if you have dental work or whatever. For me, it felt like I had really, really bad strep throat. My throat was just so sore from it. Had ice chips and was drinking water and was trying to eat the cookies and crackers that they gave me, but it was just it hurt so bad, and just trying to even eat the cookies and crackers was just killing me. That hurt more than anything on my chest. Once the other Tylenol 3s kicked in, I was sort of golden, good to go. So I was there for several hours. Now I'm going to get into some TMI stuff about healing, so you're going to have to deal with that. They put drains in to sort of drain all the extra fluid and stuff out. And I think the reason I was in recovery at the hospital so long was because they didn't want to send me home with the drains. Sometimes you go home with drains. If you're really, really big, sometimes they need to stay in for a few days. I was lucky enough to get them out at the hospital. So that was a really big bonus for me, because I was not looking forward to having to go home with those and empty them out and deal with that whole mess. A part of the surgery is that my surgeon arranged home care for me. So a nurse came by every day to change the bandages and just sort of make sure everything was healing okay, that there was nothing that was suspect, no infections or anything like that. So they came by later that night. I came home, had dinner, made sort of a nest in our bed. So we have a spare room, and I set up our spare bed in there and had a whole bunch of pillows. So I had, 3 pillows behind my head, 1 on each side to sort of elevate my arms to make it a bit more comfortable, because I had to sleep on my back for at least 2 weeks, which was kind of hell. I hated it. I don't like sleeping on my back. I prefer sleeping on my side, and it was super uncomfortable. I had a TV set up though, and had my phone and everything, so I was sort of good to go. Netflix, junk on TV. So that was where I kind of lived for the first 2 weeks. Spent a lot of time in bed, probably the first 2 or 3 days fully. Other than getting up to go to the bathroom, just spent it right in bed. Third or fourth day, I kind of made it up to the living room and would sit in the recliner and have like some pillows behind me to kind of cushion myself. Made it into there. And yeah, so took 2 weeks off. Healing was going okay. We decided to go back to work, and then that was kind of a little bit too much. So I'm back off work another week. I should have taken 3 weeks at the beginning, but it just didn't work out that way. I thought I could do more than I could. So I still have a couple more weeks to go, and the first 6 weeks is like the main healing part. So you can't lift anything over 5 pounds. You can't really do a lot of work with your arms above your head, that kind of stuff. A little bit of things that I've learned for other people that may be sort of tips and tricks. The one that I definitely learned and was a big help was bringing a pillow with me in the car on the way home from the hospital, having that across my chest and putting the seatbelt over that, so then the seatbelt's not really pushing right on your chest. You have to get sort of stupid surgical bras or sports bras that are awful. They zip up in the front. They go up to like here, so they're super annoying, and you can't really wear anything low cut, and they're really compression a lot, so you're sleeping with it on. It's on 24/7 until you can take, even you take it off for a shower. That's sort of it. Put another one on. So having a couple of those, I was lucky to find a couple good ones that I could swap out when one's being washed. Having a lot of gauze and tape. I know some people have said they use nursing pads to sort of cover everything. For me, I found out that the gauze and the tape worked really well, and I'm still at a point where I'm mainly healed, but I don't like having the bra sitting right under my incision, so I kind of tape more padding down there just so it's not sitting on them and kind of rubbing them, because I'm still kind of numb underneath, and I could be numb for a few more months still, so I can't really feel if there's like something open down there. So that's why I like having extra padding, so the bra doesn't rub along the incisions, rub off any, parts that are healing and may open it back up. That's a really big issue, is having, I guess, the incisions open up. I've been really lucky I haven't had that, but another thing is having the steri strips on, so it's the tape they put on all the incisions. When I got mine off in the first 10 days, there was a couple spots that the nurse was a bit iffy about and didn't look like they were closing properly, so she left the tape on, put new tape on, and then I recently took that off. But the problem with it is on one part, it sort of pulled a scab off with it. So that part's a little bit more slow healing now, whereas if I had taken it off a bit sooner, it probably wouldn't have built up underneath and pulled it off when I pulled it off. I actually was kind of freaking out about that. I had a 3-week follow-up with my doctor, and I went to take the tape off before then to see, and it kind of looked like it was pus or something underneath, white. I freaked out, put it back down, put a piece of tape over it, went to see him. He said it should be fine, just take it off, clean it, Neosporin, and let it air dry. Came home, sort of sterilized the bathroom, got all my gauze and tape and cleaning and everything ready to go. Took the tape off, was like super anxious and shaky and like expecting to be this giant hole in my breast, and it was just kind of like a little indent, so basically like pulling the scab off too soon. So it wasn't half as bad as I thought it was going to be. Sleeping on my back, definitely having the pillows was great. I couldn't find like one of those cushion pillows with the arms on the sides, but Walmart had like the cheaper pillows on for $3 each, so I ended up buying 4 of those and just sort of building a stack up behind me, one under each arm, to sort of keep those elevated, which is probably like one of the other best tips that I found for that. And yeah, just sort of, healing now. But I think that, it's not something to be scared about, and it's kind of funny to me that now having it and reading everything online, like so many people have got it, and even just telling other people locally that I know about it, they're like, oh, I know someone, or my sister had it, my cousin had it, like so many people have it, and it's one of those things where until you have it, you don't really know people had it, I guess. Like I only knew one person that had it. So it's one of those things I think that if you're thinking about, you shouldn't be scared to go and do it. the recovery for me has been pretty easy. It takes like about, I think, 6 months to a year for everything to sort of settle down to be where it's going to be before you get to learn your final size. But I wanted to make a video to go explain my process that I went through for other people. If anyone has questions, you can leave it down in the comments below. You can find me on Twitter at Cyanide with 2 N's. Little Geek Lost, like I said, is my other channel, and I will totally answer any questions that anyone may have about this, and hopefully you find this helpful. So yeah, that's my breast reduction story, 1 month out. Looking forward to the summer and seeing what size I actually am in the summer. I already know that some of my clothes t-shirts fit a little bit better than ones that were super tight. Things fit a little bit nicer, and you know, the bonus part about getting the breast reduction is it came with a lift, so when I take my bra off, the boobs don't actually fall down to my knees, which is awesome. So yeah, I guess just leave a comment below if you have one, and thanks for watching.